another Variety Resources for Emergency Preparedness Basic Baking video. It's Monday again. I'm going to do my famous homemade buttermilk biscuits. Alrighty, so the first thing I want to do is I want to melt some butter so that I can brush it over the top of my biscuits when I'm done. And I want my to have an opportunity to cool first. So you need about 2 tablespoons. That should be enough. The key to making good homemade buttermilk biscuits is not to overwork the biscuit. Work the mixture as little as possible. So I'm going to get started and show you how easy and simple it is. I'm going to use my KitchenAid stand mixer, but you can definitely make this by hand. In my last video, I talked about not using the scoop method. You don't want to scoop your flour. You want to lightly ladle your flour into your cup and then tap it and level it off. So let's get started with that, and we'll keep an eye on our butter as well. Okay, so you want to fluff your flour up like before, and you want to ladle or spoon in 2 cups of all-purpose flour, or if you want to grind up some of your food storage wheat, you can do that, and I normally cut it half and half. So once you get it in, you want to use the back of your knife, tap twice, level off, place in your sieve. Again, you want 2 cups. And I overfill. I'm going to turn my butter off because that's ready, and I'm going to actually move it off the aisle. You want to tap twice, level off, put it in your sieve. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And again, you want to fluff up your baking powder. Can you see that? You want to fluff up your baking powder, and you want to level it off. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Thing I'm going to add is 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And I'm fluffing that up as well. And I'm going to level it off with the back of the box and put that in. Next, you want 3/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. So we're going to fluff that up. Alrighty. And that's it. We're going to sift our flour into the stand mixer bowl. I leave my hand still, and I bring the sieve to my hand. And it gets a little cloudy, so be aware of that. And I sift right into my KitchenAid bowl. Point that I want to preheat my oven to 400 degrees. Next, I want to measure out 1 cup of buttermilk. And when you measure out your buttermilk, you always want to give it a shake first. And you want 1 cup. I'm going to get down here so I can see it. Okay. Close enough. To light, flaky, delicious biscuits is cold butter and cold shortening. Now, you hear that? It's hard, and you want it to be that way. So the next thing you want to do is you want to cut up your butter. You want a half a stick of butter, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's hard to get through because it should be. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab a wool off here. Pricey, but great knives. Okay? And you want to cut this up in dices because you want to see the dices in your mixture. And we'll show you that when we work it together. Alright? So you got a half a stick of butter cut up into dices, and we're going to put that right in. And you also want another 3 tablespoons of shortening. And these packets kind of help you measure. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to use that as 3. Okay? And you want this shortening to be cold. So we're going to cut that up. Put that back. Because you want this to be dicey. So we're just going to put that right in. So now we're going to go to the stand mix, and I've already attached my beater attachment, and I'm going to put this right on. And we're going to mix this on low because, as you know, flour will jump up at you. So we're going to lock it down, and we're going to put it on 1. Alright? And we want it to mix not a long time because, again, we want biscuits and not hockey pucks. Alright? We're going to let that work in. It's starting to come together good enough. So we're going to add the 1 cup of cold buttermilk. You definitely want to make sure that your buttermilk, your shortening, and your butter are cold. And this makes a sticky dough. That's enough. You say it's all not worked in? You don't want it all worked in. You just want it to be mixed enough. Again, do not overwork it because you'll build up the gluten, and instead of making biscuits, you'll make hockey pucks. So next, I'm going to grab a little flour, and I'm going to take this off the beater. And it's going to be real sticky dough, and that's what you want. So next, we want to add our bench flour and turn out our biscuits because we don't want that butter and that shortening to melt. So I'm going to bring back the flour. And remember that spoon I said we were going to need? Here it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle down some flour. Just enough. You don't need a lot. But you want to have enough where you can work with it. And remember, your dough is sticky. See how it is here? You want your dough sticky. It's right on the flour since the dough is sticky. This is a quick process, huh? Doesn't take no time at all. Okay? And sometimes I add chives. If I make a roast or a stew, I'll add chives to the biscuit, but just for demonstration purposes today, no chives. So, you see, it's not together, so you want to lightly bring it together. And you don't want to overwork it again, because again, you're making biscuits. Right here, I got my lovely bench scraper to help me scrape it up. And you see on the bottom, it's not together, but it will be. So work it together. Okay. And now, I can pat this out. Or you can use a rolling pin and roll it out, but I'm just going to pat it out. Especially for those of you who don't have a rolling pin, I want you to see that you can still make biscuits even without a rolling pin, quick and easy. So I'm going to work this together, but I'm not going to overwork it because I don't want it to be out here too long. Okay? And see it's picked up all the flour, and that's exactly what you want. And now I'm going to pat it out. And as I pat it out, you can see the flecks of the butter and the shortening. See right here? That's the butter. And that's the shortening. You can see it in there. That's what makes it fluffy. And you can use a rolling pan too. If you want to use a rolling pan, you see that butter on the side? You want those chunks of butter and shortening in there. So now, I'm going to dust my biscuit cutter with some flour, and I'm just going to start cutting them out. And adding them to the pan. Quick, simple, and easy. See, that's the perfect one, and you can see the butter in there. So let me get them on the pan because I don't want them to get hot. And plus I got to do a second cut. Okay. So you want to take your scraps and your bench scraper. You want to work everything back together. I'm going to put a little more bench flour down because I don't want anything sticking. Just a tinge. You see I didn't put the flour down, just enough to keep it from sticking and keep it moving. And if you look, you see this knob right here? All those hard knobs, that's the butter and the shortening, and that's exactly what you want. Perfect. So I'm going to cut out some more. I think I'll get 3 out of this one, maybe 2. See those butter and shortening in there? And you put those right on your tray. And you keep going until the end. And it's easy and simple. You don't have to buy those little pop-top cans. And most of you have the ingredients in your pantries already. You know, all we used, again, was the flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, buttermilk, shortening, and butter. So I'm going to cut that out. And I'm going to pat that down and keep working it. Go grab a little bench flour. Definitely because I just want to make sure it don't stick. And I can still see the butter throughout that. Cut that again. Then I'm going to make this one small biscuit, but I'm going to shape it up nicely. Alrighty. Alrighty, that's perfect. So now I'm going to take our melted butter from earlier, and I'm just going to lightly brush the tops. You don't want a flood of butter. I'm doing this using a simple pastry brush. So it's been about 30 minutes, and we're about ready to take our biscuits out the oven. Alrighty. Light on. Okay, show you that bottom again with the light on. Perfect bottoms, of course. See the layers in that biscuit? See the cracks in the layers? That's what gives you fluffy buttermilk biscuits. I'm going to crack one open for you. I'm trying to be Shira. So I'm going to go right here where the crack is, and I'm going to let you see the inside. So see that steam coming out of there? That's a hot, delicious, flaky, homemade buttermilk biscuit. I want to thank you for watching another Providing Resources for Emergency Preparedness Basic Baking Monday video. Please visit our website at www.providingresources.com